after a nuclear test ruptured the Earth down to its mantle, the water levels rose. The last remnants of humanity fled their homes and took to the sea, building a massive flotilla, the last bastion of human civilization. Thank you for joining me today at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Flotilla is a deck building, resource management, tile laying, and more game that is for 3 to 5 players, and it plays in about 2 hours. It's published by Wiz Kids, and they sent us this copy to look at. Players begin the game with a player mat, sink side up, skiffs, hand of cards, currency, and some tokens. The main player area has the hub board, starting area for the players, guild board with cards and objective tiles. You'll also prepare the ocean and artifact bags. There's also a lot of components like dice and items that you put in easy reach of all the players. The beginning of the game, players all start on the sink side, and they'll be taking actions during the game. But during the game, they could choose to go to the sky side, which means they're going to flip their player board over to the sky side, flip their cards, and other things like that. Players are trying to get the most victory points, and when the pile of victory points runs out, and that's determined by the player count, that triggers at the end of the game. On your turn, you play one card from your hand. You start with starter crew cards. Each one does something different, like drawing ocean tiles, getting resources, gaining influence, which could help you get more cards, and things like that. The bottom of the card shows the sale value that lets you move your skiffs around. You definitely want to get better cards that will be able to help you perform better actions. You'll be able to complete Outpost objectives while on the sink side, and every game is just a little different depending on which ones are out. Eventually, you may want to switch and flip your board to the sky side, and you also will be flipping all your cards to the sky side and be taking different kinds of actions. Now, you don't have to. You could stay sink side for the whole game, and you could win. But there's some pretty cool actions on the sink side, so you just need to try and figure out when it's best to do that and if it's best for you to switch to the sky side at the right time. You'll deconstruct your tiles that you had out, putting them in a pile and selling your skiffs for money. The earlier players get more money, as you can see. And flip your player board and crew cars to the sky side. You'll be building your flotilla from the other side of your tiles and scoring points. You'll also be gaining points with the sky side areas by gaining technology with the delvers. And of course, new sky side objectives that you are trying to complete for points. The game end is triggered when the pile of victory point tokens runs out. Now that pile is determined by the number of players in the game, and when that pile runs out, you'll finish out the current round, play one more round, and then count up points to see who wins. Not only points you collected during the game, but points for leftover gold, resources, and majorities in different guilds. And the player with the most points wins. This game is definitely on the longer end, at least 2 hours, probably more for your first game, and the game will definitely go longer with more players. But the cool thing is, it's easy to understand once you understand all the abilities. Literally, you're just playing a card from your hand and doing what it says. And you just have to figure out what card you want to play, the timing of the card, when to play it, how to play it, what you're going to do. That is where the deep strategy and tactics come in. Each guild has its own strategies, and I found it helpful to try and focus on a couple than trying to gain cards from every single guild and spreading myself too thin. I really like this theme, and I think it's highly thematic. When you are playing a sink side, you are doing things that make sense that a sink sider would do. You're exploring, you're diving. And when you're on the sky side, you're doing things that a sky sider would do, like building the flotilla. So I really think those make sense as different actions. And I really, really like how you're playing two totally different games, sink side and sky side. I can't think of another game that does that when you are actually playing a whole new game as a Skysider. It's pretty ingenious. There are a lot of components, and it does take up a lot of space on your table, so make sure you have plenty of room. There's a ton of replayability in this game, not only from the cards, and that's actually where most of the replayability comes in, with all the different cards and how you're going to play them and things like that, but also the replayability comes in with the different objectives, the tiles, the manipulating of the resource market, and things like that. The iconography is clear and understandable. The rulebook's okay. I wish it did a little bit better. For example, I wish it explained a turn in a simpler way. On page 6, it says play a card, and then at the bottom it says for details about moving, go to page 16. There is where you find out that you have to fully resolve your sale and income effects before you even resolve your card's ability. It's not a huge deal since once you know, but I thought it could be laid out a little better for reader comprehension. There's a ton of depth in this game, pun intended, and this game is probably a medium-heavy game, if not heavy game. There are just a lot of decisions that you're making in the game, and it just really depends on when you want to make them. I personally like this game. I like it more at the 3 or 4 player count. 5 players, I think it just makes the game too long for me. So if this sounds like something you would enjoy, then check out Flotilla from Wiz Kids. And as always, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button on this video.